The Big Game is sponsored by Phillips Law Firm, unleashing justice for you.
All right, everybody, Chris Egan, King 5 Sports, big game of the week. Glacier Peak, the Grizzlies taking on Lake Stevens, the Vikings. Shane Keck, head coach of GP. The Grizzlies joins us now 4-0. Great start to the season. Let's begin with your team. Just your thoughts on what you've seen from your team so far.
Yeah, we got a great group of seniors who have played a lot of football. A lot of those guys started as sophomores. We had 9 returning starters on defense, so we knew that we were going to be able to rely on those guys early. And we get a little bit younger on offense. Started a couple of sophomores, left tackle and quarterback, and so those guys have been coming along, and we like the way we're progressing. So excited to play tonight.
Oh, it's so much fun. It really is what keeps the juices flowing. You spend a lot of time in the summer and the spring and even in the off season toiling in obscurity where nobody's watching you, no one's paying attention to you, but it matters, right? But you hit those doldrums sometimes in March and April. It's like, why do I keep doing this? And then you get to nights like tonight, and it's, now I know why we're doing this. Because it's a community from Lake Stevens against a community from Snohomish, local rivals, a history there, tradition there. This is going to be a lot of fun, a lot of energy, and we're excited to participate.
Welcome, everybody. Coming to you live from Veterans Memorial Stadium in beautiful Snohomish, Washington. And tonight we've got ourselves a dandy. The big game continues to deliver here on King 5 Plus. In their white tops and their gold bottoms, kicking off to start the game will be the Lake Stevens Vikings, 4-0, led by Tom Try. Returning in their navy tops, navy bottoms, and silver helmet with Grizzlies on the helmet head will be Glacier Peak, led by head coach Shane Keck. Glacier Peak off to a great start, 4-0. Convincing wins, 41-2 over Juanita, 20-3 over Snohomish, 47-0 over Mariner. I'm Chris Egan, along with the King 5 Sports crew. Sean Wally will be joining us tonight on the broadcast. He's making his way to Veterans Memorial Stadium here in Snohomish. Packed house tonight. They're expecting anywhere from 5,000 to 7,000 on hand for this one. This is a stadium where all the students are going to be on one side, so it's going to be very loud out here tonight as we get ready to go, and it will be Glacier Peak leading the charge on the opening series. Handoff is made. Nice pickup right there. That's Isaiah Owens, and he is somebody you want to keep a track of because Isaiah Owens is having a phenomenal season so far for the Grizzlies. Owens averages 93 yards a game on the ground, 4 touchdowns this season so far. Oliver Setterberg is the quarterback under center for Glacier Peak, looking for their first victory over Lake Stevens since 2013. Lake Stevens, 2-time state champs. They have been the kings of the North for quite some time now up in the 4A Wesco. First down, handoff again. It's going to be Owens, and Owens is going to pick up a couple of yards there on first down and 10. Not much going there as the defense is all over that. Braden Slezak, one of the big boys up front for the Vikings. Felix Ramsey, you may remember that name from our big game pass. Had a huge interception against the Bellevue Wolverines in big game week 2. Chris Egan, the King 5 Sports crew, coming to you tonight from Veterans Memorial Stadium. And what a weekend ahead of us with Mariners playoff games Saturday, Sunday. You've got the Portland Timbers in town taking on the Sounders. Seahawks welcome the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to town. Kind of interesting when you think about that Buccaneers team. Cade Otton, Emeka Ibuka. Wasn't long ago those two were playing high school football. One for the Tumwater T-Birds, one for Stillicum, and we covered these kids when they were at this age. And timeout early here, but there's Tom Try. What a job Tom has done at Lake Stevens High School. He's just built an incredible program up there. So much success over the last decade. Several playoff runs, couple state titles. Tom Try has done amazing things. So far this year, they've got some quality wins as well. Opened up the season against the defending 4A state champs, Keith Ross and the Sumner Spartans, and they won that game 31-28. Week 2, no rest for Lake Stevens. They battle the Wolverines from Bellevue. Great battle there. They win that game 21-14. 2 weeks ago, 76-7 over Cascade, and last week 56-0 over Mariner. So this Lake Stevens team can score, and their defense is pretty good as well. 2nd down and 6, handoff Owens. Owens picks up a couple more yards there, trying to follow his blocker Luke Jennings and Dane Chapman. And that's going to bring up a 3rd down and about 4 yards. 3rd down, 4 yards and change. King 5 Sports Big Game brought to you by Phillips Law Firm, unleashing justice for you. Great night for some football. We're coming to you from Snohomish. Glacier Peak, the Grizzlies, the home team tonight. Navy tops, Navy bottoms, taking on Lake Stevens, one of the top teams in the state. Handoff Owens, and he's got himself a 1st down and some change there. And this young man is running well tonight, following his big blockers. And Owens, like I said, averages over 93 yards a game on the ground, 4 touchdowns so far this season. Going to get a small break. Probably 1 down. Is going to get a 1 down break there for Owens. 1st down and 10. Shane Keck's kind of like how things are moving here early on. Teams moving the change here in the 1st quarter. King 5 big game. Handoff is made, and that's going to be another gain of about 5 to 6 yards. I believe that was Kai Brooks on the carry there. This Glacier Peak team, they'll spread it around. Sederberg averages 161 yards in the air, 7 passing touchdowns. A lot of weapons out there for Glacier Peak. Looked like a Lake Stevens player shaking up on the play. Big old 77 Ted Carra. Seemed to be moving pretty good coming off the field, so that's a good sign. Keeping an eye on him. 2nd down and 5 here. Opening drive, opening series for the Grizzlies from Glacier Peak. 4-0, taking on 4-0 Lake Stevens. Battle of the unbeatens tonight. Gorgeous night. 2nd and 5, handoff. It's going to be Kai Brooks again, and Kai Brooks powers his way down, and he should have enough for the 1st down. So run. A lot of Kai Brooks, a lot of Isaiah Owens early. And as I mentioned, though, Sederberg can throw it in the air. 58 degrees here tonight in beautiful Snohomish at kickoff time. Sederberg looking to the sidelines. Pick your poison there on the play card on what they're going to run. Sederberg in the shotgun. Trips to the left. Matt Kowalski in motion. Handoff again to Kai Brooks, and Kai Brooks just keeps moving the chains, and that's going to bring up probably a 3rd down and a yard. And what a pleasure to join us in the booth tonight. Good friend of mine, become a veteran announcer across the Pacific Northwest. Any big event, he's usually there. Sean Wally is getting his headset fitted on, putting his makeup on, get ready to go. Sean, how are you doing, my friend?
Chris, fresh off from T-Mobile Park, a place you know well.
Yeah. I've said you don't get many hours off, Sean, so it's good to have you here in the booth tonight. We got our good friend Eric here who's engineering next to us here, so fist around. You got Big Game Nick on the camera tonight, Big Game Taylor down on the field. Opening drive so far, Sean, it's been a lot of running from Glacier Peak, just moving the chains right now.
Obviously very important. Move them chains.
Little screen pass. Not a whole lot going there. Zachary Albright on the catch there, but nice defensive play there from the Vikings. Looked like Keikoa Okiyama with the tackle there, and that's a young man that had a big touchdown run against the Bellevue Wolverines in Week 2.
Just a great tackle by Okiyama in the backfield to prevent Glacier Peak from doing more damage.
Yeah, Glacier Peak running the ball pretty well, and then got in a little trouble there. Couldn't pick up the 1st down, so 4th and 7, it looks like the Grizzlies are going to have to punt away. So Lake Stevens bending a little bit on the run, but in the end, they do their job, and they got the ball back. And here comes, got to tell you, Sean, what Tom Try has done up there at Lake Stevens with this program has been absolutely phenomenal. They have a target on their back every Friday night that they play. They open up the season with an impressive win over Sumner. Week 2, you get Bellevue. They beat them. Looking pretty good right now.
A tough schedule to start the season, and both these squads off to a dynamic start. Undefeated, a big game here in the Westco.
All right, Chris Egan, Sean Wally, big game of the week. Brought to you by Phillips Law Firm, and here they come, the Lake Stevens offense. Led by quarterback Blake Mosier. Week 1 threw for 183 yards against Sumner, 246 in week 2. He can throw the rock. He has weapons. His favorite usually is a young man by the name of Max Cook, number 3. They're spread out early here, and he's going to the air. And sure enough, that's actually not Cook. That's number 2, Keikoa Okiyama. So Okiyama coming out of the backfield making the catch there.
Okiyama doing good things both on offense and defense so far here early in this one.
It's going to be a pickup of about 7 yards there for the Vikings. This is a team that knows how to score some points. I mentioned, Sean, last week, 56-0 over Mariner, 76 points up 2 weeks ago over Cascade.
They know a little something about that running clock.
This game's so far moving pretty well. Blake Mosier with the handoff, and that's his running back of choice. It's either going to be Keikoa or Javian Farrell-Gelke, and Gelke is somebody that can find the end zone. 6 touchdowns already this season for Gelke.
An impressive touchdown number. This Viking club always dominant in the Westco.
All right, Blake Mosier, shotgun, first down and 10. Gelke got the first down. Mosier's looking. He's throwing. Nice little catch there by Keikoa. And Keikoa is having a game already. Great little catch there, and that's a first down for the Vikings.
As Okiyama goes, so go the Vikings.
Yeah, so far so good. And like I mentioned, Sean, in week 2, tight ball game, back and forth. Looks like Bellevue had the momentum in the first half, and then it's Okiyama who comes out in the third quarter with just a gorgeous 30-yard touchdown run, and then the Lake Stevens defense did the rest. All right, first down and 10, first quarter, 5:45 to play here from Veterans Memorial Stadium in Snohomish. Handoff is made, and nice tackle right there from number 58, James Jenkins with the tackle. And I don't know about you, Sean, in high school, but that I was not that big. That's a big boy, James Jenkins.
We would be linebackers if we were. Jenkins doing good things, finding the hole and filling it nicely.
Grizzlies 3-0 for in-state. They picked out an out-of-state win as well, but their defense is pretty stingy, has not given up a lot of points so far this season. This will obviously be their biggest test of the year. Mosier scrambling a little bit, looking, throwing across his body, firing deep, and incomplete. He was looking for Deuce Wilson, I believe, but nice defensive play there from Evan Cohen.
Cohen using his size, his height, the length to knock that ball away at the last minute.
Yeah, Mosier rolled out. Thought he had Deuce Wilson deep, but great defensive play, which is going to bring up a third down and 12. 4:56 to play here. First quarter of play. Glacier Peak drove pretty well running the ball, but then they were stopped. Mosier rolling out. Pass is made. Pass is complete. Keikoa is he may have enough, Sean, for the first down. It's going to be a tight one.
Looks like they're going to give it to him. Wait for the final official call.
Well, it looks like the chain group are moving over there. And they are. That will be a first down for the Vikings.
Hate to be wrong on my first guess. Educated guess.
Sean Wally has been everywhere. He's called everything, so it's a pleasure to have him in the booth tonight. Hopefully it's a voice we'll be hearing more often here on the King 5 Big Game. Handoff there. Pitch out to Javian Farrell-Gelke, and Gelke's going to pick up possibly 6 to 7 yards on that one.
The Vikings lucky there to get out of the backfield. Nice job by the defense to get to the running back, but unable to get him down.
Interesting, two of your powerhouses in the 4A right now, both Vikings, that being the Lake Stevens Vikings, undefeated, and the Puyallup Vikings, who we saw last week in the big game, and took it to one of their rivals, Emerald Ridge. They'll have a big test tomorrow night when they welcome the Sumner Spartans to town. And interesting, Sean, a lot of people have been asking me, Egan, you going to be there for the Sumner Puyallup game? And I said, well, there's a Mariner playoff game that I got to be at tomorrow night. So
hadn't heard.
Mosier didn't have anybody, keeps it himself, and what a great decision there from Blake Mosier. This young man just continues to deliver. First down for the Vikings.
Just a big run. The sea parted for him, and nobody was home in the middle of the defense for Glacier Peak, and it cost him.
Yeah, following some of his big boys providing the hole up there. Will Lynch, 55. Kenny Buckmiller. So first down and 10. Ball on the 28. Javian Farrell-Gelke to the left. Handoff. Farrell-Gelke going to muscle his way for a couple yards there. Kai Brooks helping out on the tackle along with Maxwell Bridges, my apologies.
Nice job on the combo tackle there by those two from Glacier Peak, stopping the run. And these Vikings, number 2 in the state.
You know, it's funny. I love those rankings. Some would say 2. There's a lot of people up north that would have them still at number 1. They're wondering why did Puyallup jump them. But in the end, the only ranking that really matters is the one at the end of the season when they're at Husky Stadium and who leaves there as the winner.
What's your opinion, professional or personal opinion? Husky Stadium, Tacoma.
Well, it's a great. The one thing I loved about the Tacoma Dome, it's a great question. I loved that the Tacoma Dome was just, they would pack the place. So it would just feel like a louder, I don't know, just in Husky Stadium, I know the kids love being there.
But you're not putting 70,000.
You're not putting 70,000. And I will give credit to the city of Anacortes when they're playing for, looks like we got a little
false start
on the Vikings there. So I think if I had to pick, one or the other, I just like the atmosphere of the Tacoma Dome. I think it's cool for the kids to play at Lumen Field or Husky Stadium, but it looks kind of bare when you don't have 70,000 in a stadium.
For sure. And that's obviously no knock on the students, the parents, everybody that does show up. A few hundred, thousand.
But I would add this. I would rather be at Husky Stadium than a high school field like Spark Stadium or it's like, let these kids, if they get in the state championship, play in a state championship venue. So nice little catch, but nice tackle right there. That's Adrian Bedoya with the tackle for the Grizzlies. So I guess I would say if Tacoma Dome is not your option, Husky Stadium is perfect for me. I would take that. I love Sparks, like I said, Sunset Chefs, great venues. Mount Tahoma has a nice stadium there, but that's a high school venue, and these kids deserve to play at a little step up, if you will, in the state championship game.
Talking about these high school games on Saturday, what do you think of that? It's an extra day, so there's more work to be done, but with all these schools sharing stadiums, you almost have to.
Well, and let's take a look at Blake Mosier. Scrambling, but nowhere to go. Great tackle there by Maxwell Bridges, who he's made a couple big ones up there tonight.
Bridges pumped up, as he should be. Making the play, the 6'1 junior. 225.
225, a lot of muscle right there. Decision time here for Tom Try and his Vikings. 4th down and 10. Ball in the, let's put it right on the 30. My gut is Tom Try is going to go for it right here.
Yeah, that's a long kick in high school.
That is a long kick in high school. You see some of these teams. I say that's the secret sometimes to a good high school team. You got a good kicker. It's Mount Si back in the day had a good kicker. Sumner had a good kicker back in the day. And they can win ball games for you in high school, but not every high school has that luxury of having a good quality kicker.
It's incredible on Sundays how a 60-yard kick is not a big thing anymore.
No, it's not.
How did that happen? It used to be 50 was the long one.
Now they're going for 60, 65. All right, 4th down and 12. Vikings in a little trouble here. Mosier firing and throwing, and what a catch and what a throw right there. Grayson Eggers with the catch, and 1st down Vikings. And he's got the old school helmet on, which I love right there.
Eggers found the hole in the defense, sat down, and got yardage after the catch. And as you said, the old school helmet, the face mask.
Big pickup right there. 4th down and 12. Backs up against the wall, and Blake Mosier, you just love that. The second time I've watched this young man, and he just throws a great ball, doesn't panic in the pocket. All right, 26 seconds to play here. 1st quarter, no score. Lake Stevens in the red zone. They're moving. Mosier keeps it. Mosier is in there for the touchdown, and that was a quality drive from Lake Stevens, led by number 6, Blake Mosier.
Well, the quarterback's got to be your leader, and Lake Stevens absolutely has that in Mosier, and he led a great drive. And for Glacier Peak on defense, a lot of the middle of the field was wide open on that drive and on that score.
Yeah, you look at that one play where Mosier had nothing downfield, opened up the middle, runs for about 20 to 30 yards. 4th down and 12, where do they go? They go down the middle, and then when it comes down to the touchdown in the red zone, it's Mosier down the middle.
See if Glacier Peak can make some adjustments.
Kick is up, and the kick is good. So with 16 seconds to go here from Veterans Memorial Stadium, Lake Stevens leads Glacier Peak 7-0. Chris Egan, Sean Wally coming to you live here on King 5 Plus. Big game brought to you by Phillips Law Firm. And Sean, it's been a very fast-moving first quarter. I got to ask, because it's the talk. Everybody's talking about it. You were just at T-Mobile Park. You'll be working the Mariners games this weekend. In your growing up here, and I'll go back to the Seahawks Super Bowl run when they beat the Broncos. The buzz that season was off the charts. I thought the next year was off the charts as well. I haven't felt anything like this for a while, though. This Mariner mojo, the fever, dropping my kids off at junior high today, and everybody's got Mariner jerseys on. I mean, it's pretty wild right now. What's going on?
The playoffs in 2022 for the Mariners were fun. It was cool. We're in it finally. Got the monkey off their back. Now there's expectation. Now they learned in 2022. Now they're wiser, a little bit older, and they're loaded top to bottom. No reason they shouldn't be able to take it to the Tigers and continue on.
Yeah, I agree. My only concerns, and I'm somebody that I'll go back to spring training. I thought this team, with the pitching staff, had what it takes they needed to win the American League West. You get some pitchers injured throughout the season. Then they add, Josh Naylor, Gino Suarez, and kick off into the end zone. So Glacier Peak's going to take it on the 20. And then you're right, this team has the firepower. If I have any concern going into this Tigers series, best 3 out of 5 is a young man by the name of Tarek Skubal. Pitched for Seattle University, played for a team called the Kitsap Blue Jackets out of the West Coast Baseball League. That's a summer league. They're now the Port Angeles Lefties. At Seattle U, had to have Tommy John surgery. His 3rd year there, he started rolling. In my mind, he is the most dangerous pitcher in baseball, and the Mariners are going to see him twice. Game 2, possibly Game 4, Game 5. If you're a Mariners fan, you hope that you just win this thing in 3 and you don't have to see him for a second time.
You have to hope the Mariners can continue the offensive success against Skubal that they've had this season.
Yeah, 2-0 against Skubal so far. All right, handoff to Isaiah Owens. And, Sean, that's what we saw a lot of on their first opening drive was just Owens for 5 yards, Owens for 6 yards. So they're going back to it because it was working on their opening drive.
You have to do what works. You have to do what gives you momentum. And you have to keep the ball away from Lake Stevens as we close out quarter number 1.
All right, so that is the first quarter. Lake Stevens leads it here from Veterans Memorial Stadium, 7-0. You're watching the King 5 big game on King 5 Plus, brought to you by Phillips Law Firm. We'll be right back.
The big game is sponsored by Phillips Law Firm, unleashing justice for you.
Welcome back, everybody. Veterans Memorial Stadium in Snohomish, Washington. Chris Egan alongside Sean Wally, the King 5 big game of the week. Undefeated Glacier Peak taking on undefeated Lake Stevens. To set the table for you, Glacier Peak took the kickoff, went down about 40, 50 yards running the ball, but then Lake Stevens got the stop, and then Lake Stevens just put together a great drive led by their quarterback Blake Mosier. Couple big throws, couple big runs. In the end, it was Mosier running it in. And here we are, Sean, 7-0, and let's see if Glacier Peak can get something going here. 3rd down and 3 already for them here in the second quarter.
How about the Grizzlies getting a taste of the red turf at Eastern Washington, taking on Post Falls with the 30-18 victory. Little red turf cooking.
Red turf cooking over there. Go Eags. The Eagles, the home to many former Washington State prep stars. We were watching last week Emerald Ridge take on the Puyallup Vikings. And
you've never heard of the Vikings?
No. That Eastern Washington team's got actually quarterbacks from both the Vikings and the Jags on their team. All right, 4th and 1. Decision time here, and Sederberg is still on the field. So will he punt? Will they go for it? Looks like they're going for it. Oh, and a little movement up front. Looked like one of the big boys from Glacier Peak. And that's going to probably bring out the punting unit there.
To the delight of the Viking defense, you can see the players jumping up and down there. That's a win for them.
What was the one thing you did not want to do right there was offsides. Whether they would have snapped the ball or not, that's a question. They were maybe trying to get them offsides, but in the end they commit the offsides, and Glacier Peak will now punt it away again. So Lake Stevens will take over with about 10 minutes to go in the second quarter, already up 7-0. Ooh, nice group tackling right there from the Grizzlies. Flag down on the field. Pretty clean game so far, only a handful of flags. We'll see what they say this is. Looks like it's going to be on Lake Stevens. It's going to bring it back a little bit more.
Going back to the Glacier Peak 4th and 1, it's moments like that. It's the penalties that you self-destruct and things you don't do right that are preventable, that prevent you from defeating a giant like a Lake Stevens.
Yeah, you almost have to be perfect if you're going to knock off a team like Lake Stevens, a team that Glacier Peak has not, looking at my prep history books, which is my mind, they've not beaten since 2013. Sadly, I've been at King 5 25 years, Sean. I think I remember the game. All right, 1st down and 10. Here comes the Vikings. Mosier in the shotgun. Keiko in motion, handoff, Javian Farrell, Gelke, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, touchdown, Javian Farrell, Gelke. And Javian Farrell, Gelke, welcome to the King 5 Instagram plays of the week. That was a run right there.
From 4th and 1 for Glacier Peak to now you're down 2 scores. Just one offensive play from Lake Stevens, and they're starting to show why they are one of the top teams in the state.
Well, Javian Farrell, Gelke, we talked about it, Sean, a little bit. This is a touchdown machine. That's 7 touchdowns now in the season for him. He is just he is a dangerous weapon back there. When you got Keikoa right next to him, there's just options. Kick is up, and the kick is good. Lucas Mooring knocks it in, and just like that, Sean, it's 14-0 Lake Stevens, and things can change quickly on a Friday night.
And it's plays like that Lake Stevens wants to see more of, and Glacier Peak needs to make the adjustments to stay in this game, keep it competitive, and show that they belong at the top of the Westco. And, you know, Glacier Peak has a chip on their shoulder because they are the little brother to the Lake Stevens that has dominated for years.
Well, Shane Keck and his Grizzlies, let's see what they do here. This is a team, Sederberg over 161 yards passing a game, 7 passing touchdowns. They haven't gone to the air a whole lot so far. It's been a lot of Isaiah Owens, a lot of Kai Brooks. We'll see if they change things up a little bit here, mix it up, and get to the air. 5,000 to 6,000 are unofficial count in attendance tonight, but this place is packed, Sean. They're 5 deep around the fence over there.
Well, I can tell you it was hard to park getting here around kickoff time, hard to wind through the crowd, and it's a great atmosphere. You know that. You're always at these games weekly, and it brings the communities together throughout the Western Washington, Eastern Washington. You know, Friday Night Lights for a reason. It's a great place to be, a fun place, safe place for the kids, the families, and something to talk about for the next week.
Well, Tom Try, head coach of Lake Stevens, we chatted before the game, and I think it's what he said when I asked him about that. A little misplay there, picks it up. Not a whole lot of running room there, and the Grizzlies are going to be with their backs up against the wall down on the 2-yard line there, and Lake Stevens was all over that one right there. But Tom Try said it best. He says, Chris, there's many late nights, film session, weight rooms, the spring practices, the early fall where you're out in the field by yourself. It's just your team, and you're putting in all these hours. You're grinding, you're working, and you're just asking sometimes, gosh, is it worth it? And then you get to a night like this. Stadium is packed. So what all the kids have been talking about all week long, and he said, you know what? It is worth it when you have nights like this.
The 0 hour, the August two-a-days in the heat. It's definitely worth it, as you said, nights like this, but come late November at Husky Stadium.
Yeah. All right, Sederberg in some trouble, throwing out of the end zone, getting a little room there, a little dangerous right there, but he finds Matt Kowalski. Kowalski picks up about 6 yards on the play, but Kowalski caught that in the end zone.
That was confusing, to pass it into your own end zone. A lot of things could have gone wrong there.
A lot of things could have. Fortunately for the Grizzlies, they did not. They've got a little room now. 2nd down and 2nd. I have a feeling we're going to be seeing a little Isaiah Owens on this one. As the high snap and trouble. Owens, I think, secured the ball. Snap was high. May have lost a yard on that play.
Owens saving the day on that play, recovering that high snap that was mishandled. All
right, big 3rd down. Yeah, I lost about 3 yards on the play. 3rd down and 4. Oliver Sederberg in the shotgun. Behind him, Isaiah Owens. Handoff, Owens. Owens trying to get to the 1st down marker. I don't think he got it, though, Sean. I think he's going to be about 2 yards short.
A lot of room on the near side, was wide open had they chose to either run it this direction or throw a pass out in the flat, but the run was the call, and now it's 4th and 2. And it appears the punting unit is heading on the field.
Yeah. Tough with that snap because you got to feel that you're, 2nd down and 2. You get it to Owens there. He's probably going to pick up 1 or 2 yards on a clean snap, get the 1st down.
Which he did.
Yeah.
He got 2 on that 3rd down, but it was
another tough snap. Kick is off, kick is away. And so Lake Stevens will take over, and so far Lake Stevens they've had 2 drives so far, Sean, and 2 touchdowns. Blake Mosier kept one for a touchdown run, and then we just witnessed Javian Farrell Gelke with the run of the night so far, 60-plus yards into the end zone, taking it to the left side and showing off his athletic ability for his 7th touchdown of the season already.
7 touchdowns in less than 5 games. Looking to add to that. Lake Stevens a chance to start breaking this one open.
All right. Blake Mosier, shotgun. Keikoa in motion. Mosier's going to go to the air, and he finds Keikoa Okiyama, and Keikoa just continues to add yards to his profile. Running, catching, playing defense. This young man can do it all for the Vikings.
And he has done it all. Offense, defense, playing on both sides.
I'm waiting for him to kick a field goal maybe. Who knows? Although they got Lucas Moore, and he's pretty good. All right, first down and 10. Sean Wally, Chris Egan, King 5 Sports, the big game of the week. Lake Stevens 4-0, Glacier Peak 4-0. So far the Vikings controlling the tempo, controlling the mojo. And there he goes again. Javian Farrell-Gelke is in the end zone, but I think this one's coming back, Sean. Looked like a hold maybe out there.
Saw the flag flying, the yellow hanky on the screen. Unfortunately, it is coming back. You see the call there, holding.
Yeah, Javian didn't like that. Another great run by that young man there. Wearing his chartreuse green shoes. Seahawks have a uniform like that. Those chartreuse. Did you like the chartreuse green Seahawks uniforms?
Highlighter green?
Highlighter green, yeah.
Not my favorite.
Not your favorite, okay.
I don't dislike them.
Well, you asked me the question about Husky Stadium versus the Tacoma Dome. I don't think, to be honest with you, sitting down with many times chatting with the WIA folks, that the Tacoma Dome, I don't even know if it's an option anymore for football. But your thoughts on Husky Stadium and the state championships there now 2 years in a row. You like it?
I think it's great for the players to get to experience a top-notch stadium.
Mosier with the throw. And that is Seth Price with the catch. Seth Price had a couple big catches in that Bellevue game not too long ago.
But that being said, Husky Stadium is too large for the high school level. And the Tacoma Dome, and part of it could be nostalgia because what did we grow up with? Where did we go watch games? Where did you start reporting on games earlier in your career? The Tacoma Dome. The woodshed.
Yeah.
And as you said, it gets packed. It gets loud.
All right, first down and 10. Lake Stevens back in the red zone. Mosier keeps it, and Mosier scores. And that is so tough to stop when you got Javian Farrell-Gelke coming out of the backfield. You've got an ISO on him, and then Mosier just says, you know what, the left side's open. I'm going to keep it and go score again. And that's his second touchdown of the night. Just like that, it's 20-0 Lake Stevens.
The Vikings making it appear like they have more players on the field than Glacier Peak can account for. The Grizzlies need to put a hat on a hat and see if things can change moving forward.
Yeah. Tough start for Glacier Peak. Packed house, a lot of students out there for him tonight. Lucas Mooring in to kick the extra point for Lake Stevens. Kick is up, and the kick is good. And just like that, with 6:13 to play here from Veterans Memorial Stadium in Snohomish, Lake Stevens 21, Glacier Peak nothing. And it's interesting, John, I'll go back to it, and these kids are human. These kids get on Instagram and TikTok, and they see things, and we mentioned the team that was in the big game of the week last week, the Puyallup Vikings, who jumped up to number 1 in the rankings. They're 4-0. They are loaded. They have weapons. But Lake Stevens is probably like, hey, wait a second. We were number 1. We didn't lose. We haven't lost. We just won 76-7. We won 56-0. Why are we dropping down to number 2? And they're showing everybody that the Vikings of the North are maybe just as good as the Vikings from the South.
Lake Stevens scoring nearly, 140 points in 2 games, as you said, did nothing wrong, and they fall? Why? How great was Puyallup? Do you think it merited them jumping Lake Stevens?
Well, and a lot of it goes down to strength of schedule, and sure, Puyallup has nice wins over Tumwater, a good 2A team, a team that's always there in the Final Four. But if you're Lake Stevens, you've beat Bellevue, who's arguably one of the top 3A teams for the last decade. State champions 2 years ago. They were in the state championship game last year. They knock off Sumner in week 1, the 4A state champions, who pretty good little team that they have coming back. So I think Lake Stevens has definitely an argument that they are one of the teams to beat in the state of Washington right now. All right. Grizzlies need a little momentum right now, Sean. They need something. They need a spark. Crowd's a little quiet here. They got to pump it up a little bit, right? They need a big play.
They need a big play. They need points. Points on the board of any kind would help heading into the half. Still over 6 minutes left in the first half. And Glacier Peak, as we've talked about, they are undefeated as well, but Lake Stevens showing why there really is some distance, even though right now these two teams are equal in the standings.
Yeah, Shane Keck, great head coach for Glacier Peak, talking to his boys there, pumping them up. A lot of football to play. Sederberg throwing. Nice catch right there. And that's Matt Kowalski with the reception. And he came into this game as the leading receiver for the Grizzlies. And nice little catch right there, 11 yards on the play for Kowalski.
Interesting note, this game last year, Lake Stevens handed Glacier Peak their first loss, which would be the same thing if Lake Stevens wins again here tonight.
Yeah, and the other big team up north that a lot of these teams are keeping an eye on in Arlington, a team that both these teams will play later in the season. Sederberg hands it off. Owens takes 3 Vikings to bring him down.
Owens.
Felix Ramsey in there to help the tackle.
Owens like a pinball shot out of the cannon is what I was going to say, but that doesn't really equate. Pinball shot with that plunger.
The plunger, yes.
The pinball plunger.
All right, the Grizzlies looking over to the sidelines. The King 5 big game of the week brought to you by Phillips Law Firm, unleashing justice for you. Sean Wally, Chris Egan on a beautiful night in Snohomish. Glacier Peak, navy tops, navy bottoms, silver helmets. Isaiah Owens trying to get some running room, and big tackle right there from number 14. Dylan Finney coming out off the safety spot and just laying a licking there.
Great job by Finney and the rest of the Vikings on the pursuit, because the run was there here to the near side, closed up quickly by the Vikings.
All right. First down and 10. Sederberg, shotgun. Owens to his left. Handoff Owens. Owens is getting some tough yards tonight. It's taking usually about 3 Vikings to bring him down, but Caden Peck was in on that tackle right there, and Keegan Brown also involved in the play, and Owens is getting hit hard tonight. He's fighting for every yard he's getting.
The Vikings closed quickly, and let's hope the ice bath is ready for Owens after this one tonight, because he's taking some hits.
All right, 3:40 to go. Your Glacier Peak, you know that Lake Stevens is going to get the ball to start the third quarter. So you'd love just to kind of eat up some clock and get in the end zone and make things interesting, get in at halftime, talk things over. Nice little pass, nice little catch. And that's Zachary Albright with the reception. Great basketball player as well. Getting a lot of attention right now for his football play, and we can see right there he's a big boy, good hands. Great on the track as well. His parents, both good athletes back at Pacific Lutheran University. He's got a little athletics in his blood. You know who also has parents that played at PLU? Young player by the name of Cooper Cup. Both mom and dad. Mom was a soccer player. Dad was a football player for the Lutes. Craig Cup. Handoff. That's Kai Brooks trying to get something going there. Only think he picked up about a yard there, Sean.
Running the ball is starting to be difficult for Glacier Peak. You know, using Albright, the tight ends, and getting the wide receivers involved might be a smart move to at least attempt for the Grizzlies to keep this drive going.
Yeah, what's the height on Zachary Albright? What do you got? What is he listed at, number 18?
6'5", so he's got both of us beat.
Okay, 6'5".
6'5", 220, just a junior.
Trips to the left. Albright's one of them up there. Sederberg looking his way. Sederberg throws deep. Flags on the field. And that was Michael Darling. Flag on the field, though, and I'm not sure where it came out of. We'll see what the referees have to say. Darling, great effort. Double team, though.
I like the idea in theory to take the top off the defense, but there was double coverage.
Yeah. Well, that's going to go up. That's going to be against Lake Stevens, so that should be a first down for the Grizzlies, who, with 2:08 to play here in the second quarter, are doing exactly what they needed to do, is get a little momentum back on their side before the half.
Momentum, something to feel good about, and get some points on that scoreboard.
All right. Sederberg in the shotgun. First down and 10. Ball on the 36. Isaiah Owens to his left. Sederberg lets it go. Completion is made. Number 8 on the catch.
And they are giving him the reception. He did bobble it there momentarily.
Ran into one of the camera crews. It's a media frenzy tonight. I think there's like 3 broadcasts coming out of this game tonight, including King 5. Radio stations are here. Media from all across Snohomish County have converged on Veterans Memorial Stadium.
Well, when everybody hears where Chris Egan's going, that's where they swarm.
Oliver Sederberg doing a great job on this drive for the Grizzlies. Second down and 4. Sederberg hands it off. Owens just couldn't get around his blockers, looking to get around Luke Jennings, and couldn't get around him, and don't think he picked up much on that, Sean.
No, the run continues to be a struggle for the Grizzlies, and if he could have just bounced that outside, could have got around the left side of his offensive line, there was some daylight, but just couldn't find it, and the Vikings were there to stop him.
All right, third down and 4. There's all the play calls. Trying to figure out what they're going to do. I'd love to see get the ball to Zachary Albright again. Big target.
There he is on the bottom of your screen.
Sederberg, 1:20 to play. Looking, throwing, and that's a great play call there. Isaiah Owens, a little shake and bake, and he's down to the 5-yard line, and the GP students are on their feet, and finally we got a little energy down there at the Grizzly student section.
Spread them out, use the entire field, makes you more difficult to cover, and lo and behold, Owens is open.
Yeah, Owens is having a big night, doing everything he can to keep the Grizzlies in this game. 1:02 to play here. Glacier Peak does have a couple timeouts still remaining. Sederberg looks to the sidelines. Owens lined up behind him. First down and 6. Handoff. Owens right up the middle. Touchdown, Glacier Peak, and that's exactly what the Grizzlies needed, and they get it. That was a well-run drive there by the Glacier Peak coaching staff. Just some great play calls, Sean.
Owens going straight up the middle, and the offensive line doing a good job to create the hole for him so he can lower the shoulders and battering ram style into that end zone. First score of the night for the Grizzlies.
Yeah, that was a great drive for Glacier Peak. You see Isaiah Owens, he's fired up on the sidelines, trying to get his teammates fired up, getting a little Gatorade. And that young man has a reason to be celebrating right now. Coming off a great drive right there. So with 45 seconds to play here, it's Lake Stevens 21, Glacier Peak 7. And finally, a little momentum for the Grizzlies. Coming up at the half, by the way, we got the Glacier Peak dance team. We've got the award-winning Glacier Peak band. And then one reason why they're scattered all over the place tonight, Sean, it's little kids cheer night. So we're going to have cheering on the sidelines. You and I don't have to do play-by-play on any of that. We can just sit back and...
We don't have to grab pom-poms, do we?
No, we can just have some fresh popcorn here from Veterans Memorial Stadium. Eric, the pinball wizard, engineer extraordinaire, running things very smoothly tonight. Big Game Nick, who used to do, I talked to Nick, our King 5 photojournalist, one of the best in the business. He actually used to do a little play-by-play back in the day as well. He can do it all. Yeah. And you know what? Talking to Tom Try, the kids deserve this stuff. I mean, there's so much negative news out there that I love nights like this. You see, you mentioned it, Sean, the communities come together as one. Where's everybody out tonight? They're out here supporting the high school kids. They're supporting the high school bands, the cheerleaders. So it's just a special time, and I'm proud to be part of King 5 TV that still delivers this. Will we have the big stories of the week, the Mariners, Sounders, Seahawks? Sure. But we're not going away on Friday nights. We're here. Sean Wally's here. Chris Egan's here. Big game of the week. Let's see what Lake Stevens does. They got 44 seconds to go. And look at this. Look at this. That is Max Cook. And Max Cook says, Egan, put me on the top plays of the week. Max Cook returns that to the house. He is a very dangerous weapon. We've not said his name a whole lot tonight, but guess what? We're saying it now, Sean.
Lake Stevens, quick strike, the kickoff return. Not many more dynamic plays in football. Glacier Peak, as you said, had some momentum. Got something to smile about, and then Lake Stevens says, hold my coffee.
Yeah, Max Cook, that was his 6th touchdown of the season. We talked about Farrell Gelke, who has 7 TDs. Well, Max Cook came through in the big game against Bellevue with a touchdown, had a big touchdown against Sumner in the first game of the season. And that's Lucas Morin with the extra point. It is good. And just like that, it is 28-7, Lake Stevens. And Sean, you're thinking, okay, Glacier Peak scores a touchdown. They'll get in at halftime, only down 2 scores. In a moment of 10 seconds, momentum back to Lake Stevens' side.
Just what Glacier Peak did not want to do, come out on the kickoff and be unable. I don't even think they touched Cook.
Well, right down the middle. I mean, he just went right down the middle. And this Glacier Peak student body is in shock right now. They were up on their feet. They were cheering. They were chanting. And now I think they're just in shock. And they got the pink on tonight. It's a pink out tonight. Meanwhile, the Lake Stevens student body also on their feet. And they're celebrating down there. Max Cook took that. What would you say? That was 80 yards? I don't know where he took the ball at. But went right down the middle. Don't think he had to shake many tackles on the way to the end zone.
I think it was around the 10, so closer to 90. And Cook, just a sophomore, so if he's already returning kicks, could be a lot of football in his future.
Yeah, he is really something to watch. He's a fun player. Max Cook, 6'2", 180 pounds. Wide receiver, defensive back, can return kicks as well, and pretty impressive, as you said, Sean. That's a sophomore out there for Tom Try doing some things like this, and 6th touchdown already of the season for Cook. Let's see if the Grizzlies can try to answer back with their own return of their own. Would have been fun. Back-to-back kickoff returns.
Look good for the first 20 yards.
Well, 25 seconds. Oliver Sederberg's got a big arm. Why not, huh?
Completing 65.5% of his passes coming into tonight.
We'll see if the Grizzlies and Coach Shane Keck decide to go for it or just take a knee and get in and talk about it. And they're going to just take a knee. Down 28-7. The only tough thing here is Lake Stevens is going to open up with the ball to start the third quarter. Sean, some quick thoughts on the first quarter before we head to the half?
Lake Stevens proving why they are one of the top teams in the state. And for Glacier Peak, continues to be an uphill climb looking at the Vikings in front of them.
Yeah, Blake Mosier, 2 touchdowns so far. Javian Farrell Gelke has a touchdown. And we just saw the touchdown there from Max Cook. It is 28-7 at the half. The King 5 big game brought to you by Phillips Law Firm. The Lake Stevens Vikings heading off the field, trying to fire up their student section right now. Coming up, the halftime show, we've got the Glacier Peak dance team, the Glacier Peak band, and we got some cheerleaders doing some fun things as well. We'll be back for the third quarter and the halftime show coming up next.
The big game is sponsored by Phillips Law Firm, unleashing justice for you.
One second, we're having technical difficulties.
Welcome back to the King 5 Big Game of the Week. Chris Egan coming to you live from Veterans Memorial Stadium along with Sean Wally. We've got the second half coming up next. But first, it's time to look back at last week's top plays of the week.
We start with some defense at number 6. O'Day's Uriah Stringfield. Puts a huge hit on Eastside Catholic. Up to Ed Wood for number 5. Meadowdale's Kealoha Kepo Osabati drops the hammer on the Warriors. Number 4 is from the big game, Emerald Ridge and Puyallup. Luke Parker finds Lawson Looker over the middle, and the Viking Legacy high steps it 58 yards for the touchdown in Puyallup's big win. Number 3, Auburn and Stadium. Tigers quarterback Cooper Tassler hits Darius Sum in stride. No one in front of him. Oh, look at it. He's gone. 90-plus in Stadium's win. Tigers are 4-0. We go back to O'Day for number 2. Irish running back Owen Bruskern blows through a hole, and he's gone. 77-yard touchdown romp. O'Day beats Eastside Catholic 24-20 in a Metro League showdown. Back to Ed Wood for our number 1 play. Nathan Schlack has some trouble, picks up a dribbler at the 17, and his journey is just underway. He hits the Jets. One man to beat. Forget it. Schlack motors 83 yards for a touchdown, but in the end, Meadowdale pulls off the upset.
All right, some great plays there. Our prep plays of the week. You can catch that every Monday night on King 5 Sports, the prep flashback. Chris Egan coming to you from Veterans Memorial Stadium along with Sean Wally. Lake Stevens leads Glacier Peak 28-7. And Sean, when we look at this game, you can take a peek at a couple plays that probably are going to be up for the big game of the week. Number 1 maybe on the list will be Max Cook with that kickoff return. Under 30 seconds to play, took it 90 yards for a touchdown. And then nice little touchdown run early from Javian Farrell Gelke.
So many options to choose from for Glacier Peak. They're doing so much right here in this first half. And if the Vikings can continue this momentum up 28-7, Glacier Peak's got to find a way to stop the Vikings on defense and also continue some of the momentum they had in their final drive, getting on the scoreboard at the end of the first half, and then not give up the big play like they did in the ensuing kickoff. Lake Stevens, really not much at all you could say that they're doing wrong right now.
No.
28-7.
Yeah, Tom Try has his team looking mighty well. You mentioned Glacier Peak on their last drive. Oliver Sederberg ran the offense well and hooked up with Isaiah Owens for the touchdown. And the number 1 thing they need to do right now, Sean, is their defense has to come through here and has to get a big stop here to try to get some momentum back on their side. Place is packed. Chris Egan, Sean Wally, joining us tonight on the big game and the King 5 Sports staff. It will be Glacier Peak in their navy tops, navy bottoms, silver helmets, kicking off to Lake Stevens, the visitors tonight, in their white tops, gold pants, and purple helmets. And here we go. This is going to be big time. We'll see if the defensive coaches for Glacier Peak made some adjustments, but they're going to need to stop a young man by the name of Blake Mosier, who has been simply on fire tonight for Lake Stevens.
The last time Glacier Peak had a kickoff, things didn't go well, but this one, thanks to the penalty, was easy to kick out of the end zone.
All right, so we'll see if any defensive adjustments have been made on the Grizzlies side of things. And you mentioned they went over to the red turf to take on a team from Idaho, won that game, and then they've won 3 games so far this season on the west side of the mountains. 41-2 over Juanita, 20-3 over Snohomish, 47-0 over Mariners. So this is a Glacier Peak team that is not used to giving up a lot of points this season, and they give up 28 points in the first half to Lake Stevens. Let's see if this defense can get things rolling. Kai Brooks in the middle. He's one of the leaders on this defense. We'll see if he can fire up the team. Going to the air is Mosier. And Mosier to Seth Price. And Seth Price with his second grab of the night.
Great play design there. The Grizzlies doing a good job on defense, not allowing that to be too detrimental of a play, even though a first down was had by Lake Stevens.
Yeah, looks like they're giving him the first down. So Blake Mosier in the shotgun. Javian Farrell-Gelke to the right of him. Vikings moving from our left to your right, and great tackle right there. In on the play, Atticus Quist, and he's fired up. And haven't said Atticus a lot in the first half, and the Grizzlies are going to need Atticus to come through, and he did right there. Read the play, was all over it.
Got to put him in the hat for the best name on the field.
Atticus Quist bringing the heat and getting a big high five from his buddy Kai Brooks, big old number 48. So second down and 17. Haven't said second and long a lot for the Vikings tonight. Mosier, shotgun. Javian Farrell-Gelke in motion. He's going to go to the air, and he has, looks like going to be close. Yeah, he's going to be shy of about 5 yards from the first down.
A name we've said in the first half, Michael Darling coming up from the safety position for Glacier Peak with a nice tackle.
So that's going to bring up third down and about 6 yards. Maybe third down and 5 and a little change. This is where the Grizzlies need to come through right here, Sean. They've got to get a stop right now.
Important third down if they want to get back in this one.
Mosier scrambling, Mosier looking, Mosier throwing, and what a catch right there from Javian Farrell-Gelke, who just continues to make play after play. He got up there, Sean, on that one and hauled it in with one hand.
When Mosier let it go, I thought there's no way. That's over his head and out of bounds. Nope, guess not.
No, Javian Farrell-Gelke is going to get a rare break right there, going to the sidelines, get a little sip of water, but he has been sensational tonight. One of the best running backs in the state we have seen, and we've seen a lot of good ones already so far. King 5, big game of the week, brought to you by Phillips Law Firm. Mosier scrambling to the left side. He's throwing across his body, and he had Deuce Wilson on the move there, I believe. Just overthrew him a little bit right there. Mosier throwing that athletic ability, though. He can move.
Adrian Bedalla at safety for the Grizzlies has got to be kicking himself. He had the opportunity to get under that and pick that off. Just a step or two shy of that one, but the incompletion, a good thing for GP.
All right, second down and 10, 10:01 to go. Lake Stevens going from their left to your right. That's Grayson Eggers with the catch. It's going to take a couple Grizzlies to bring him down. Zachary Albright was in on the tackle there.
We start with some defense at number 6, O'Day's Uriah.
Lake Stevens starting to get plays in chunks, smaller chunks, but 15. That's a good number on any play on the football field.
It's not going to be a flag on the field, and that will be against Glacier Peak. Not what they needed. And you got to give credit to this Lake Stevens offense. Down, third down and long, and they find a way, get the first down. Javian Farrell-Gelke makes a sensational catch. And here they are again, back nearing the red zone. That's not a special graphic. That's a pole at Veterans Memorial Stadium that is blocking our view there.
Have you named them yet?
Not quite yet.
You've got a few options, multiple polls.
Seth Price with his third catch of the night, and he continues to do some damage for the Vikings. Max Cook, Seth Price, Grayson Eggers, Javian Farrell-Gelke, Keikoa Okiyama, Dylan Finney. I mean, Tom Try has a lot of weapons on this team that he can spread it around. And guess who has 2 touchdowns tonight? Blake Mosier, the quarterback.
A lot of weapons is a coach's dream. How many coaches in the state would love to have this roster from Lake Stevens?
Quite a bit. Mosier handing it off. And that's Keikoa Okiyama, and touchdown Lake Stevens. And that is just Sean, Glacier Peak had to make a stop on that drive to try to get momentum back on their side, but what a run there from Keikoa.
Okiyama with the great jump cut, cutting to the middle of the field to daylight and 7. Lake Stevens doing a lot of things right, just like the first half.
Yeah, this team will beat you in so many ways, and we saw another Vikings team last week that was showing off all their weapons, and we're seeing it tonight from Lake Stevens. Lucas Mooring, kick is up, and kick is good, and this young man has been very solid as well. So they've got a kicking game, they've got a passing attack, a running game, and the defense has been pretty good as well. I mean, Sean, we're talking about a Glacier Peak team that is averaging 36 points a game. So far, just one touchdown for the Grizzlies.
Talked about it in the first half, strength of schedule. Glacier Peak playing the likes of Juanita, Snohomish, Mariner, whereas Lake Stevens playing Bellevue, Sumner, some of the top teams in the state. Big difference.
Yeah. And you've been on the South Sound a little bit, and we've talked about some teams, and you mentioned during the halftime maybe a team to keep an eye on. Tell me a little bit about one of those South Sound teams that you've been watching and you've been impressed from.
Very impressed and a little bit shocked and surprised. The Timberline Blazers down in Lacey, 3-1 coming into their game tonight. They only have their one loss was by 1 point, and impressively, the 3A school went up to Bothell on the road. That's a long trek.
Not an easy place to play. Tom Boehner and the Cougars, yeah.
And you go actually defeat Woodinville in 4A that shares that stadium in Bothell. They defeat Woodinville, so upset a 4A team, and they're 3-1 doing good things down there at South Sound Stadium.
And Woodinville always puts a good team on the field, so that is a very impressive win. So good to see Timberline. It was the home of Jonathan Stewart, I believe, back in the day.
Absolutely.
One of the greatest high school football players in this state's history. Jonathan Stewart went on to a great career in the NFL. Played for the Oregon Ducks. Made his announcement he was going to Oregon on King 5 TV. Back in the days when kids would come in up to Seattle and come into the studio and have like 8 hats on the table, and now they just do it on their Instagram pages and all that stuff and TikTok. But those were good days back in the day.
Jonathan Stewart, Lacey Washington, of course, Casey Keller.
Yeah.
A couple big names out of the South Sound.
Tommy Dutra, Sounders goalkeeper coach, I believe is maybe from down there as well.
There we go. Sounders play tomorrow night. Portland, big rivalry.
If you're not planning to be going to a Sounders Mariners Seahawks game, I would stay away from the Soto area. I'm just stay away from the area.
100,000 plus.
This is a nice run right here. Isaiah Owens shaking and baking. 50, 40, 30. Welcome to the top plays of the week. Isaiah Owens. Are you kidding me? That is a touchdown run right there. That is exactly what the Grizzlies needed, and the Grizzlies get it. Isaiah Owens. Welcome to the top plays of the week.
Now I see, Chris Egan, why the Grizzlies continue to try to run the rock and pound it with Owens, because of his breakaway speed.
That was an amazing touchdown run right there, following his big old blockers up front. And Isaiah Owens says, we're not done. This game ain't over. And he has second touchdown of the night for Isaiah Owens. And that one kind of reminded me of that second quarter touchdown run from Javian Farrell-Gelke. Kick was shaky, kick is up, but kick is good.
How impressive was that? The hold was misplaced. Ball, I don't even think was held properly, but great job to get the kick through. And it's 35-14 with 8:48 to go in the third, Chris.
So Lake Stevens opens up the third quarter with a Keikoa Okiyama touchdown run, followed up by an Isaiah Owens touchdown run. And so here we go. Third quarter, 8:48 to go. Lake Stevens leads it 35-14. And I think, Sean, we're back to what we were talking about at the start of the half. The Grizzlies defense has to come through with a stop right here. At one point, you have to stop Lake Stevens, so it needs to happen right here.
Something has to change, or things will stay the same, Chris.
And that would not be good for Glacier Peak.
Not at all. Although they would like more of Owens, please.
Yeah. He has been fun to watch tonight. 35-14, King 5 big game of the week, brought to you by Phillips Law Firm. Unleashing justice for you. So you mentioned Timberline. Anybody else you've had the pleasure to watch out there this year at all?
You know, you've mentioned them. Tumwater's always in the mix come late November. It's been a while since we've heard from Olympia or Capital down in that area, but man, some of those Tacoma schools you know well.
Well, Mount Tahoma has built themselves a pretty nice program. And that is interesting if what was going on there. And hold on, a little turn of events here. For some reason, it's like he almost thought it was a punt. Like just going to let the Grizzlies down it.
I think all of Lake Stevens fans and faithful and players are wondering what happened there, as are we. The kickoff not picked up.
Well,
and Woods able to recover for Glacier Peak, and they've got something to cheer about.
It's high school football. Anything can happen. 25 years at King 5, I've seen it all.
We've seen mistakes similar to that at the NFL level, so not too unheard of.
Yeah. He just didn't pick it up. It was a live ball. For some reason, I think he maybe thought it was a punt. For some, it was a kickoff. Didn't pick it up, and just like that, Glacier Peak has the ball. They're in the red zone. Setterberg hands off to Owens. Owens shaking and baking. It's going to take about 3 Vikings to bring him down. And, wow, change of events. We mentioned they needed to stop Lake Stevens. Well, they didn't have to there.
Lake Stevens kind of stopped themselves.
Yes, they did. Okay, 8:24 to go. Third quarter. Kai Brooks checking into the lineup. And Kai Brooks is your backup running back to Isaiah Owens. It's a bigger back. Owens is your speed and lightning. Brooks is your power. And Brooks lining up right next to Setterberg. Setterberg in the shotgun. He's going to look to the air. Throwing. And there's a flag down on the field right there. Kalel Chim was the target there for the Grizzlies. Kalel Chim is having a great season so far for the Grizzlies. And that's going to be a first down. Pass interference on Lake Stevens.
All of a sudden, some chinks in the armor of the Vikings with the Owens long touchdown run, then the fumbled, mishandled kickoff for the turnover back to the Grizzlies, and now a PI.
Voice you're hearing there, that is Sean Wally. Been doing broadcasts all over this great state of Washington. A lot of events. You do play-by-play. What? I mean, you've been doing. Tell us. Well, let's. We'll get that here in a second. Let's see what happens here. And we've got a change there. Let's get the number on this. Number 10 in at quarterback, if we can get that for. Setterberg is out. 10 now under center in the shotgun formation. Runs into his own guy and falls down.
As long as they only have one number 10, that should be Michael Darling.
Okay, Michael Darling now in quarterback. Setterberg went out. We'll see what happens here.
Is that just a change of pace?
I think so. Setterberg is back in. Maybe trying to throw him off a little bit, but Setterberg back on the field. Third down and 5.
Looking at Setterberg there wearing 11, if you were not familiar.
All right, big third down and 5 here. You got to believe it's 2-down territory when you're down 35-14. Field goals aren't going to get you back in this one. Another low snap. Setterberg throws to the end zone, and that is intercepted right there. A big defensive play. And that is Felix. No, that's number 8 with the interception.
Drayshawn Harding, the senior, 5'9", 160.
Big play right there.
Played bigger than 5'9" to go up and get that one.
Yeah, he got some air. And the Lake Stevens sidelines can just breathe after what was just a disaster on the kickoff. Glacier Peak recovers. Great field position. Looks like they're going to get in there and score, make it a 35-21 game, but interception in the end zone, and here comes Lake Stevens with the ball again.
For the Grizzlies, that's exactly what you couldn't have.
Javian Farrell-Gelke. Have a feeling they're going to hand it off to him and just eat this clock away right now.
6:47 and counting. Lake Stevens seems to be in no hurry.
Not at all. Tom Try, not his first rodeo out here at Veterans Memorial Stadium. Undefeated, 4-0, taking on an undefeated Glacier Peak team. Farrell-Gelke, handoff, first down, and some change. And he's going to get a lot of carries right now as they're just going to keep knocking the clock away. Michael Darling in on the tackle there.
Vikings at the point of the game where they are putting the exclamation point down, reminding everybody they're bigger, faster, and stronger than Glacier Peak.
Also have a couple state titles up in their trophy case up at Lake Stevens. Pretty good little volleyball team as well. They just went down to University Place and knocked off the Curtis Vikings, one of the better volleyball teams in the state. So Lake Stevens could be a big fall for them, making a run in football, making a run in volleyball as well. Okiyama with the catch. That's going to be a second down at about 5 yards, I believe. Maybe 6.
Chris, you've always reported live on the Big Five, King 5, for these high school games throughout the years, but this year the change to get in the booth, do the play-by-play, what brought that about?
I'm taking a look real quickly at Mosier scrambling and finding Max Cook. It's Cook who had the big touchdown kickoff return at the end of the second quarter with the first down there. Sean, great question. King 5 has been devoted to doing high school sports as long as I've been there, 25-plus years. We've been doing the big game of the week, 15-plus years, and this isn't the only game we'll be at tonight. We'll have photographers at other games tonight, bringing you all these highlights and bringing these great stories from all the communities. But over the last 3 to 4 years, a lot of parents would be like, hey, it's the big game. How can we watch the whole thing? And we'd love to show the whole thing, but really we were showing a couple minutes of highlights at 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock. We'd replay it the next day, and it was great, but we weren't able to bring everybody to these games. And so we were just getting this demand from parents, from kids, from students, from relatives that don't even live in the state. And King 5 Plus came about, which is a place you can download the app on your TV, and it's a streaming station, and here we go. So we've decided to stream games, and this could just be the start of more great things to come, which has been awesome. I mean, this is week 5, and we've had 1 week I'm getting text messages from North Carolina, from Arizona, people watching the game, watching their relatives. We've got grandparents that can no longer travel or make it upstairs that are watching from their homes. We're seeing big numbers on Saturdays and Sundays as the kids are coming together and watching these games with their coaches and their parents. So it's fun. It's been fun. It's a win-win, but it takes a team, and from the engineers to the photographers to the crew behind, our producers back at King 5. We got Olivia on the board tonight back at King 5. We can't send enough great things about her. Our digital department's been awesome. So far, so good, and we're just going to, every week we find something that we need to fix, and we do it, and we just try to get better each week.
Well, as you are aware, you've had great reviews. Everybody loves your style, your knowledge of the high school scene here in Washington, and, of course, a little bit of comedy thrown in here and there as well.
Well, we try. We try. Seth Price with the catch, and he's starting to pick up some receptions, probably number 5 on the night for Seth. Mosier doing a great job running this offense. Javian Farrell-Gelke to his left. Farrell-Gelke gets the handoff, following his big blockers up the middle. 59, Ryder, Gobin, Tolentine, Will Lynch up there, paving away. Some big bodies on this offensive line for the Vikings. I mean, these boys, I don't know what they're eating at Costco or what they're loading up with, but I mean, I just wasn't this size.
Hot dogs, right?
Yeah. I mean, prime rib, mashed potatoes, some big boys. 3rd down and 2. The clock is ticking away. Exactly what Tom Try wanted to do. Just let that clock tick away. Javian Farrell-Gelke, fake handoff to him. Flag on the field. Grayson Agers was the intended receiver on that one. And that's going to go against Lake Stevens. See if they decline or accept. It was 3rd down and 2. Okay, Sean, you got to tell us what are some of the other play-by-play sporting events that you've done over the years. What's one of your favorites?
Man, well, in the last year plus, done things over at the University of Washington last season, the first year of Big Ten Plus. You know what? The crazy thing there, one of my favorites just at UW last year was gymnastics of all things.
Okay.
Because it was new, it was different, and it came about less than 48 hours before the event. They're like, hey, we want to do this. Can you handle it? And we made it happen. It was great. It was fun. And I like variety.
4th down and 2. When in doubt, Seth Price seems to be the answer right now as he's picking up more receptions there. And that is another 1st down. And I think what impresses me about this young man, Blake Mosier, whether it's 1st down, 4th and short, 4th and long, 3rd and long, very composed out there as the quarterback for this Lake Stevens team. He is a good one, and he's shown it again. We saw it against Bellevue, and we're seeing it tonight against Glacier Peak.
The Vikings have themselves a very good quarterback as he rifles one here to the near side.
Seth Price, touchdown. And just when you thought momentum was maybe going back to Glacier Peak, they get an interception in the end zone, and then they not only march it down the field and get a touchdown, Blake Mosier to Seth Price, but they also eat up a lot of clock.
Lake Stevens really only done a couple things wrong when they've had the miscue. It hasn't really been Glacier Peak causing them the problem. Both teams coming in 4-0. Somebody has to go home with their first loss, and Lake Stevens looking to be on the happy end of that.
Now, they did not give the touchdown. Did we miss a flag down there, Sean? Obviously,
that
we did.
Appears to be the case.
we're talking, enjoying things, and we both missed that one. So, no touchdown to Seth Price. Our apologies.
Maybe the pole saw it.
We could have been blocked by the pole. Could happen. All right, Mosier going to the air again, looking at the end zone, and whoa, in and out of the hands of Javian Farrell-Gelke, and he has not made many mistakes tonight. In fact, that's probably his first one of the night because he has hauled in everything. He's ran hard tonight, but that one just in and out of his fingertips there.
Bounced off the hands. He's not happy with that one. The slow walk back to the huddle. You don't see that often.
No, yeah, he broke free, was wide open in the end zone. Great throw from Mosier. And I got to get a little love to pick up number 70 for me there on the offensive line for Lake Stevens. I don't got him on my big board, but he's been something up there on the O-line. I love the O-linemen that are just pumping up people and firing up players. And Mosier to the end zone again, and that is a touchdown to Seth Price. So Seth Price says, you're going to call one back? Well, let me do it again. That is a touchdown for Lake Stevens.
Just to a different receiver this time and a better result. You were asking about 70.
Number 70. I'm liking
for
this
Lake
kid.
Stevens, Calvin Middendorf. Middendorf, 6'3", 290, just a sophomore on that O-line.
Okay, I like his energy down there. He's high-fiving guys. He's pumping people up. He's pretty good for a sophomore. And Lucas Morin has been very busy with extra points, and so far he's perfect on the night. And the kick is up, and the kick is good, and he remains perfect. And Lake Stevens awfully good tonight, Sean Wally. 42-14. Now your score from Veterans Memorial Stadium. This team is this is a good Glacier Peak team, and they are pretty much can't do anything to slow down Lake Stevens right now.
Grizzlies are good. Lake Stevens may be, dare I say, great.
Well,
They've taken out Bellevue, Sumner, the 4-0 Glacier Peak Grizzlies.
and they got Sumner at home. They took out Bellevue on the road. They're winning tonight on the road. Now I believe they're going to face off against Arlington at home, which will be more than likely that will be for the Wesco 4A title. Now Arlington still needs to face off against Glacier Peak. But Tom Try has his team looking awfully good tonight. 42-14, 1:43 to go.
Arlington 2-2 overall coming into this weekend.
Always a fun atmosphere to go up to Arlington. Some of my favorite ones, Sean, through the years: Shorewood, Shorecrest. Shorewood, the home to Blake Snell, now a pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers. You got Eastside Catholic O'Day, always a fun little matchup when those two go head-to-head. You mentioned Capital Olympia, the Spaghetti Bowl as they call it down there in the South Sound, a fun rivalry. They've moved the Fish Bowl to Saturdays, but I think pretty much Gig Harbor Peninsula was one of the best rivalry games when they played out at Roy Anderson Field. That one brought a lot. And then the oldest rivalry in the state, Hoquiam and Aberdeen.
Yep,
and they've been going a long time, over 100 years, I believe, out there. So there's just some fun rivalry games. This is a fun rivalry game. Unfortunately, not as close as the Glacier Peak students and coaches and players would like it to be tonight.
Well, you mentioned Arlington and Lake Stevens possibly playing for the conference championship. How about this? Arlington at Lake Stevens, Halloween Eve. Halloween night, excuse me.
Halloween night.
Evening of Halloween.
So you know the kids will be all dressed up in their Halloween decorations and costumes for that one.
How about that rockin' Friday Night Lights action throughout the state?
Sederberg handoff. Isaiah Owens picking up 6 to 7 yards on the play. Halloween night, I'm going to just warn everybody. It sounds great to get the big candy bars to hand out at your house. Something we've been doing at the Egan House. We hand out the big candy bars. But the problem is, Sean, once you start that, then everybody expects you to keep doing that. I've lost a lot of money through the years. And the word gets out. These kids talk to each other. They have TikTok and Snapchat. So all of a sudden it's like, go to the Egan House. They got king-size candy bars. So I don't know how to shut it down right now, Sean. It's just...
Turn your light off?
I may have to start my own chocolate factory at my house. No, I don't want to be egged. I don't want to... The lights are on at the Egan House on Halloween.
Do kids even know what the light means in this day and age?
All right, Sederberg throwing deep. And he was looking for Zachary Albright.
That was a moonshot. That ball was skied.
Zach Albright, one of the top wide receivers for the Grizzlies. Oliver Sederberg came into this game passing nearly 200 yards a game. A lot of weapons. Matt Kowalski, one of them. Chim, Albright, Darling, going to the air. Nice catch right there, and that was Darling on the catch. Going to be a couple yards short. It's going to bring up a 4th down and 3. What do you do here, Sean?
I'd like to see a little more urgency out of the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, they're down a lot, but, hey, a couple quick strikes. The big run we saw earlier from Owens, you do that again, maybe another fumble recovery, and good things can happen.
Never know. On a Friday night, Setterberg going to the air, firing down the middle. Great catch right there. Kalel Chim with the catch, and that was a nice play design right there, and a big pickup on 4th down for Chim.
Chim hauling that one in, using his size to his advantage. 6'1", 230, the senior tight end.
All right, that's going to be a first down. Just about 30 seconds to go here, third quarter. Lake Stevens leads at 42-14. King 5 big game coming to you live on King 5 Plus. Handoff, Owens trying to get some space, but that's Tatola with the tackle there for the Vikings.
Lake Stevens was ready for that. 3 D linemen right there to surround Owens.
I think that will be the end of the third quarter. Sean Wally, Chris Egan, and the rest of the King 5 crew, the big game of the week. At the end of 3, Lake Stevens leads it 42-14. We'll be right back for the fourth quarter.
The big game is sponsored by Phillips Law Firm, unleashing justice for you.
Welcome back, everybody, to the King 5 big game of the week coming to you on King 5 Plus. Brought to you by Phillips Law Firm. Sean Wally, Chris Egan from Veterans Memorial Stadium. 4-0 Lake Stevens coming into this game with some great victories over Sumner Bellevue. We've been talking about it all night. Taking on a Glacier Peak team, 4-0. Off to a great start. But tonight it has been the Lake Stevens show, and it has really been Blake Mosier with 2 touchdowns, Javian Farrell-Gelke with a nice touchdown run, Seth Price with a touchdown, Max Cook with a kickoff return for a touchdown. So spreading the wealth tonight, the Vikings. Meanwhile, Glacier Peak with 2 touchdowns, both from Isaiah Owens, the running back. And they've had chances tonight, Sean. Just the interception in the end zone, some missed snaps here and there. So high snaps, some low snaps have set them back a little bit. So just some, we talked about it. If you're going to beat Lake Stevens, you almost have to be perfect. And they've just kind of gotten their way a little bit too much tonight.
Yeah, I think the interception in the end zone after a turnover, so you had momentum and a chance to cut into the lead and really see what Lake Stevens would respond with. You come away with 0 points there, and that's not going to get it done.
That's a great throw and catch right there. Setterberg with a laser, and that's Michael Darling with another catch, another nice catch. And that was, he had to throw it in a very tight window there, and he did, and Darling makes the grab.
Darling, one of the great receivers for the Grizzlies. Need to see more of him, not only in this one, but as the season progresses here in October.
All right, 10:31 to go. Grizzlies, with time moving, I think I'd like to see him get moving here a little bit and try to trips to the left. Setterberg is going to throw a little screen play. and that is going to be Matt Kowalski with the reception over there.
Yeah, Chris, I'm still a bit perplexed at the lack of hurry up from the Grizzlies with 10:24 left. You know, they get a couple scores, then you wonder if Lake Stevens starts to wonder what's going on. But the Grizzlies taking their time.
Sederberg, over 160 yards he averages in the air. 7 touchdown throws coming into this game. It's been Isaiah Owens with 2 rushing touchdowns tonight. Kowalski came into this game as the leading receiver. Darling is having a pretty good year as well. Owens, Chim, Fullerton, Albright. Like I said, they love to spread the wealth. But time is ticking here, nearing 10 minutes to go here. 42-14, Lake Stevens. Sederberg, shotgun, throws. A little high, nice catch though, but nothing going there. Lake Stevens was all over that one.
Owens saving what could have been a scary ball if that had hit the turf. Possibly a backwards pass there. But by hauling that in, he negated that.
Yeah, one of the Lake Stevens players banged up just a little bit on the play. Looks like he's okay. Getting a couple trainers with him. Always good to see him walking off on their own, that's for sure. Clock will stop as he moves off the field. 9:51 to play. Tom Try over on the other side there with his team by his side. And if you want a big game environment, if you've never been up to Lake Stevens on a Friday night, Sean, I recommend to you and to everybody watching this tonight, find a night to go watch Lake Stevens up there and watch their crowd and what they will do. That place erupts. They got smoke screen. It's almost like a soccer match before the game. They got a big drum they bring out. It's some fun stuff up there in Lake Stevens.
I love it when fans and boosters get creative. What do we have going on here?
Well, sometimes we've seen this in a lot of high school football games that usually this means something was said on the field. And so they'll bring the captains out on the field. They're going to issue a warning. Both coaches will be out there. So the officials, they heard something on the field. More than likely a couple players talking trash, saying some things that they shouldn't say. And they're going to talk it over and make sure now what's going to happen now, Sean, is all these coaches and the players are going to go back to the sidelines and gather the whole team together, and basically it's a warning of sorts, if you will.
Coaches shake hands right there.
They want good sportsmanship. WIAA doing some great things, some handshakes on the side there, on the field. Now they're going to go over and talk to their teammates, make sure everybody's on the same page. Do your talking with your play, not with your mouth.
So, Chris, taking on this play-by-play adventure, I'm pretty sure in your last 25 years at King 5, you don't have a lot of it in the last couple decades. Is it just you just picked it up and ran with it, or
it actually? I've actually done some soccer games through the years. I used to do college. I used to do PLU football, so. That's the great thing about when you're at King 5 Sport. You just kind of learn to do everything you can. I think it was like 16 years ago I was asked to go to my first Olympic Games, and they're like, you're going to have to go over to the Olympics. You're going to have to shoot your own stuff. You got to produce. You got to engineer. You got to do your own live shot show. You got to be security. You got to be your own travel guide. And so you just learn.
Language at the same time?
You just learn. Yeah, that's what you do. All right, Sederberg. 2nd and 22, and another troubles on the snap. And they've had a lot of miscommunications tonight on the Sederberg. Got it back, but that's going to bring up a third and about 28 now, I think.
Have you taught Luke Egan how to snap yet? That might be a good thing to start working on based on tonight.
Long snappers centers. They don't get much credit, but they are needed. You need a good one.
Quality work and a quality paycheck.
Yes, yes, indeed. All right. 3rd and 25. We'll see what Glacier Peak can draw up here. Backs against the wall. Sederberg rolling left, throwing, and in and out of the hands of Zach Albright right there. And that's going to bring up a 4th and 25. And pretty much at this point, you got to go for it, Sean. And you can't get this, and you know that Tom Try is just going to run the clock out pretty much and just run them at will.
A lot of players in and out, so they may be sending the punt team in, and it looks like they are. It's 25 in the high school game. That's a big chunk.
Yeah, it pretty much would be a Hail Mary down the field at this point.
Maybe bring out some trickery.
So the punt is away. It's a good one. Lake Stevens is going to get a fair catch on this one, and they'll have the ball around the 24-yard line with about 8:43 to go. And you have a feeling here they're going to just hand off to number 5, hand off to number 2, or we could see some backups coming in at this point right now. I think 42-14, 8:43 to go. I think Tom Try is probably feeling pretty good, but there he is in his neon green shoes, Javian Farrell-Gelke. He's coming back on the field. So they're not satisfied quite yet. I think they're going to try to get this clock down a little bit before we see a lot of the subs rolling in.
But you always, in the back of your minds, you don't want to see anybody ever get hurt, but especially in a game that's way out of reach.
Mosher throws. Grayson Eggers with the catch. That will keep the clock moving.
After they reset the chains, of course.
Yeah, of course. Can't say enough about this O-line, too, Sean. The big boys up front. Ryder, Caleb, Will, Ted. Just paving the way for this Vikings team. Moving the chains all night long. Some big boys up there in Lake Stevens. Handoff. Farrell-Gelke. That's Kai Brooks with the tackle. He's been hitting hard all night long. Atticus Quist also in there to help out with the tackle.
Good pursuit by Quist and Brooks there for Glacier Peak. And one thing they can hang their hat on is it doesn't look like, at least on defense, they've given up.
No. They're bringing the heat. They're playing with a lot of pride tonight. This is a playoff team. I mean, this Glacier Peak team, you will see them in the playoffs. They'll try to learn from this. Sometimes it's losses like this you learn a lot more about your team, and that's exactly what they'll do. They'll look at the film. They'll learn from this. And you can watch as much tape as you want, and at the same point, it's hard to tackle that man right there, Javian Farrell-Gelke. And it's hard to get pressure on this offensive line. I mean, and this is a good defensive line for Glacier Peak, and Farrell-Gelke now going to the sidelines, kind of holding his left arm. Hopefully everything's okay there. One of the top touchdown makers in the state. Little concern there from the Lake Stevens sidelines. Let's keep an eye on that, Sean, number 5.
Yeah, this O-line for Lake Stevens is big. You've got 265, 280, 290, a lot of big bodies.
Mosher throwing deep. Looking for Max Cook, the sophomore. 6:52 to go. A little surprised they're going to the air that much right now. I think they would milk the clock a little bit more, but Mosher saw something there, rolling out to the right side. Cook, a dangerous weapon.
Lake Stevens playing like the score is much closer than 42-14. Still always things to work on,
Yep.
regardless of what the scoreboard says.
Well, and you got Colton Fink in now at running back for the Vikings. So, and the handoff, fake to Fink. And that's going to be Eggers again. And he's starting to add up. I mean, they go in waves. It was pretty much the Javian Farrell-Gelke show, then Keikoa. Okiyama had a lot of catches. Then we saw some big plays from Max Cook. Then it was the Seth Price show, and now we're seeing a little bit of Eggers.
And Farrell-Gelke back in the game.
That's good news there if you're a Lake Stevens fan to see that. Handoff, Farrell-Gelke, and he just continues to pick up yardage. Farrell-Gelke, one of the toughest runners I've seen in the state. He's having some words right now. He's not too happy with something down there. And this may be time for Tom Try just to get him off to the sidelines because he's had a really good night. But you know what? You got some good touchdowns. But there's some words being had out there. These guys are playing like this thing is 21-all right now, Sean.
You have to wonder if this has anything to do with the meeting of the captains and coaches earlier in this quarter, or if this is strictly something with the officials, what they are or are not calling.
Well, good move there by Kenny Buckmiller. Just kind of talking to Mosier, talking to Gelke. Big offensive lineman, Buckmiller. Says, guys, we're fine. Just let's do our talking with our player right now. 2nd down and 4, 5:35 to go. Veterans Memorial Stadium. Lake Stevens, number 2 team in the state. Some would argue the number 1 team in the state. They looking like number 1 tonight. Handoff, Gelke, up the middle, and he's picking up a lot. He just keeps picking up. I'd love to know his average here tonight because feel like he's 10 yards a carry right now at this point.
He was
when you take his big 60-yard run.
That one for sure. A big reason Lake Stevens is way out in front in this one. He's doing great things and should continue for the running back for the Vikings.
Against the Sumner Spartans, he had 14 carries for 137 yards. Mosier to the air. Mosier to Max Cook. And Cook's going to be, there's going to be some flags on there. Cook brought down on the 12-yard line, mentioning Javian Farrell-Gelke. 14 carries, 137 yards against Sumner in week 1. Good defensive team, Keith Ross. Week 2, you go up against Bellevue, another very disciplined defensive team. Farrell-Gelke, 21 carries, 123 yards and a touchdown. So he's ran well against some very good defenses. Week 3 against Cascade, 191 rushing yards off of 3 carries. He averaged 63 yards a carry in that game, and he had 3 touchdowns. So he could not be stopped in that one. And then last week against Mariner, 8 carries for 95 yards, averaged 12 yards a carry, and had a touchdown. So you are looking at arguably the best running back in the state right here. Farrell-Gelke takes the handoff. Nope, it's a little fake, and it's Mosier one more time. And Mosier takes to the right side.
Not sure why Mosier's taking that hit right there in a 42-14 game, but he gets up just fine. And Farrell-Gelke coming into tonight, you talk about his average, 11.5 yards per carry, 132.8 yards per game.
Wow. 4 minutes to go. And Blake Mosier still on the field. Javian Farrell-Gelke still on the field. Grayson Eggers up there on the left side. Handoff. Farrell-Gelke. Nice tackle there by James Jenkins for the Grizzlies.
Flag on the field.
Things are getting a little chippy down there, Sean. I mean, these are kids that have grown up playing sports against each other probably since kindergarten. battling on the basketball courts, the football fields, the baseball fields, wrestling against each other. You know, these kids they all grew up in the same area. Some of them may have grew up playing on the same select football teams, and these rivalry games are fun, but they can get a little chippy out there.
They can go over the line, and somebody from Lake Stevens did, as the personal foul is on them.
3:49 to go. Next week, a lot of big game possibilities. I know Mount Tahoma has turned themselves into quite the program in the 3A ranks, and they'll be taking on Bellarmine Prep, a team that dropped from 4A to 3A. And Bellarmine Prep's never had no troubles winning state championships in golf and tennis at the 4A ranks, but now they're looking like a team to watch out for in the 3A football ranks. All right, Mosier to the end zone, and Mosier, nice little throw right there. Max Cook with the reception.
His knee was down, so they stopped the play.
Max Cook, the sophomore. You got to go back, Sean. Every game has, anywhere from 3 to 5 plays that kind of are the difference makers. And I think when you look at this game, you're going to look at Glacier Peak making it a 21-7 game. Just over 30 seconds on the clock. Ensuing kickoff, Max Cook going 90 yards for the touchdown. I think that is the one that just really sticks with me. Second one would probably be they recover the kickoff in the third quarter, can't punch it in. 2 plays that I think if you're Glacier Peak and you look back on, you're like, okay, we get both of those plays. It's a different story tonight.
Choose your own adventure. Those books back in the day, and shoulda, woulda, coulda. Glacier Peak, a lot of learning lessons here tonight.
All right, King 5 big game brought to you by Phillips Law Firm, unleashing justice for you. 3:13 to go. And we thought this game was moving fast, but all of a sudden it has slowed down at a very slow pace here. And students are still having fun down there in the stands. They haven't gone home. They're having a good time out there tonight, whether you're on the winning side or the losing side. Big game, Nick. There's a good shot of the Glacier Pink students. Glacier Pink tonight students. They're all pinked out tonight. The band over there put on a good performance at halftime. Special shout out to all the administrators at Glacier Peak and Lake Stevens that, we said, hey, we want to make this the big game. And they were like, whatever you need, come on out. Thank you for supporting high school sports. So we love that as well.
And you've been here since what, 4 o'clock?
Yeah, we rolled in pretty early. It's get home, get to bed, get up, and get ready for a fun day of Mariners. And if you're watching this game on King 5 Plus, I'll be hosting a special pregame show tomorrow before the game, before Game 1, Mariners-Tigers, and then we'll have a special post-game show on King 5 Plus as well. So King 5 Plus, not just your home for high school football and breaking news and weather reports. We're going to bring you some post-game reports from the Seattle Mariners during this playoff run, and Seahawks news, Kraken news. It's the place to find all the latest and greatest sound. So that's the thing I love about King 5 Plus is, you watch sometimes, Sean, these newscasts, and they only can play like 10 seconds of Dan Wilson talking about the game. Well, we'll play you the whole press conference so you can listen to it if you're a Mariners fan, and there's a lot of them right now. So King 5 Plus tomorrow for all your Mariners pre- and post-game coverage.
We'll see you and the King 5 crew all over T-Mobile Park. Of course, kind of nice having King 5 right across the street, right?
Well, it makes it very easy, that's for sure. Sean Wally, it has been a pleasure to have you up in the booth tonight, and we know you're a busy man. You were at T-Mobile earlier today, made the drive out here. Hopefully we'll be hearing your voice throughout the season for some more big games.
Well, Chris, such an honor to work alongside a gentleman and a scholar and somebody known throughout the Pacific Northwest like yourself, and appreciate you giving me the opportunity.
You got it. Well, Things are slowing up here at this game. Lake Stevens leads it 42-14. .312 to go. It's 4th down for Lake Stevens. We'll see what happens right here. Shane Keck, head coach for Glacier Peak, chatting with the officials. Mosier's in. No sign of Lucas Mooring anywhere, so they're going to be going for it here on 4th down and 5. And you pretty much just heard every parent in the crowd say, let's go. Even the Boo Birds are coming out now.
And they're separate. Somebody took a timeout, I'm guessing. Final 4 minutes has come to a halt.
Final 4 minutes has felt like 44 minutes here.
Well, Chris, you asked earlier, didn't have a lot of time to expand on it, but on air previously, I've done a ton since 2018 in the GNAC, the Great Northwest Athletic Conference. Spent 4 years calling basketball at Western Washington, both men's and women's, and 1 year at St. Martin's down in Lacey, and I've parlayed that into doing conference championships for the GNAC, so that's
nice.
awesome, including their 2026 basketball championships, which will be up at Western in Bellingham, so that'll be a great time. Seattle U baseball as well. We've done a ton of high school in years past, including state championships in Yakima and Tacoma, so a lot of fun on air.
Been a busy man. The GNAC has turned out some pretty good teams, too. I think it was SPU made a decent run last year in basketball. I know they went down to Point Loma, which was the team that ended up knocking them out of the men's basketball ranks. All right, Mosier looking, finding Eggers, and Eggers did he get in there for the touchdown? And he is in.
They're going to say he rolled on top of the defender is my thought on that one.
So, touchdown for Eggers, 1 for Javian Gelke, 2 for Mosier, 1 for Max Cook, and now 1 for Seth Price as well. So everybody getting in on the party tonight for Lake Stevens, including Lucas Mooring, who has been busy. His leg may be tired tomorrow. He's been kicking a lot tonight. Kick is up, kick is good. And just like that, Lake Stevens with 3:05 to go, they now lead it 49-14. We were praising Sean, executive producer Tony White, for after 3 weeks of the big game, they all came down to the final play. Well, you're going to take the praise. The last 2 games have not been down to the wire. But we're also, to his defense, we are seeing 2 teams the last 2 weeks that I would not be surprised if we saw at Husky Stadium, that being Lake Stevens and that being the Puyallup Vikings. Both of these teams, when you look at the 4A, I have not seen the teams on the east side of the mountains like my good friend Todd Millis has seen. But if you're looking on the west side right now, Lake Stevens and Puyallup really look like the teams to beat. Now, Sumner may have something to say about that tomorrow when they head to Spark Stadium, travel across the great Puyallup River to battle the Vikings at Carl Spark Stadium. So we'll see that. I think that will be the big test tomorrow. If Sumner can keep things close with Puyallup, then Sumner is in that mix. But if Puyallup can get a win there, I think it's Puyallup and Lake Stevens as your top 2 teams in the 4A right now.
Well, the writing is on the wall, and so far, Lake Stevens showing they belong, Puyallup doing the same, and they can continue to get even closer to Husky Stadium with a big win tomorrow in Puyallup.
Yeah, Lucas Mooring in to kick here, 3:05 to go. We'll see if Glacier Peak brings in any of their subs, backups, because like I said, they are a playoff team as well. So you want to keep everybody healthy, but it looks like Sederberg is going to head back on the field. Looks like Isaiah Owens is in there. Looks like he's going to head back on the field as well. So Glacier Peak down, but they're bringing everybody back. Coach wants to see something. I see Albright is ready to go back on the field as well. So Dane Chapman in there. Michael Darling, he's had some nice catches tonight. So we'll see what they can put together here.
You could see some of the assistant coaches in that huddle there pointing to their heads, to their brains. Hey, get your mind right. As we've had some issues and stoppages of play. That pass sailed high.
Looking for Kalel Chim, who had a nice catch on the last drive. 49-14, 3:02 to go. Big game of the week. We'll have highlights coming up tonight on King 5 News at 10 and 11 o'clock. Tomorrow we'll have Mariners pre and post coming on King 5 Plus. Sunday we've got the fifth quarter. Paul Sylvie, Steve Rabel, Walter Jones. That's coming after Sunday Night Football on King 5.
So you'll have half the team at Lumen Field, half the team at T-Mobile.
Half the team, yes.
And I saw one photog extraordinaire, Tate Miller, here this afternoon at T-Mobile.
Tate Miller loves his Mariners baseball. He'll be doing double duty. Some fans will actually be doing both, going from Seahawks games to a Mariners game. My question is, how do you even afford it? Ticket prices to get into a Mariners game is like winning a Willy Wonka ticket right now if you can get in there right now. It's somebody was telling me today, I think it was Jason Puckett on Puckett's show, that they found a ticket for, I think it was $350 just to stand. That wasn't even to sit.
Standing room only.
So,
when you have 100-inch TVs,
well,
and we have 1080p cameras,
everybody wants to be in there. Everybody wants to be part of this magical ride. I would hate to even know what the prices are if they make it to the World Series for a ticket into that building there. All right, 2:16 to go. Clock is ticking. Third down and 11. Kalel Chim in motion. Sederberg fakes the handoff. Throws. Was looking for number one on the.
Had to be some miscommunication there, as there were two receivers that were both going for that ball. Neither of them could come up with it.
So that's going to bring out the punting unit. And I guess now we look ahead. You got the schedules on where these teams are going to be heading next.
Lake Stevens in Week 6. They are at Jackson, and that's a different 5 p.m. start next Friday. And we'll get to the punt here.
Glacier Peak going to try to regroup after tonight. They'll go to 4-1. A lot of football to play for Coach Keck and the Grizzlies. Like I said, the score reads 49-14. Sure, Lake Stevens has been very dominating. Sure, they have players all over the field making big plays, but you could go back to a kickoff return at the end of the second quarter, an interception in the end zone, and this would be a much different story. You could take 14 points off the board, maybe add 7 points, and it's a much tighter game. So I think that's what Coach Keck has to explain to his guys is we were in it. We just made some mistakes tonight. We just made a couple, we got to get some things together. The snaps, converting in the red zone, and special teams needs to step up after a touchdown. All right, Glacier Peak schedule.
Glacier Peak next week. They will be right here in Snohomish hosting Cascade.
Okay. All right, and that will be Fink with the carry.
And Chris, Coach Keck, he's preached that to his Grizzlies this week. You have to be on point. I don't want to use the word perfect because nobody is.
Nope.
But it would take a nearly flawless game to upend and upset a team like Lake Stevens, who's firing on all cylinders and literally is one of the best, if not the best, 4A team in the state.
They definitely are making a case for that tonight. 49-14, 1:12 to go on the clock. Lake Stevens going to take their time here, milk the clock. Colton Fink going nowhere. Maxwell Bridges with the tackle, and some parents pretty upset right now. And that was Atticus Quist. And this is some unhappy Lake Stevens parents over there we're hearing from the bleachers.
That late spin to the turf well after the whistle blew.
I think at this point you just need to take a knee and get the victory and get out of here. Head back to Lake Stevens 5-0.
We've already seen.
You know you're good. Well, not to interrupt, but you know you're good as we're looking on the field there, and your backup O-linemen are pretty big. You know you're a good high school team when you got depth on the O-line.
There are worse problems to have.
All right, Colton Fink, your running back.
The lowest weight I see on the Lake Stevens O-line is 180. Majority well over 200, on up to 290.
Fink with the carry. I think if you're going to give a player of the game, it would be hard to deny Blake Mosier what he's done tonight. Just spreading the rock around. He's got 2 touchdowns himself. I know Javian Farrell-Gelke would be another front runner. Yeah, both of those two. Keikoa Okiyama also with a touchdown tonight. Let's not forget about him, and he kind of started this game off. And that's going to do it here from Veterans Memorial Stadium. Tom Try and his Vikings now go to 5-0. Glacier Peak gets handed their first loss of the season. Sean Wall, any final thoughts here as we see the teams send their best to each other here?
For Glacier Peak, not all is lost. It's a very learning moment, teachable moment. And Lake Stevens, keep riding the wave. A few things to correct and a few things that weren't right, like when Glacier Peak did strike a couple times. The long run for the touchdown, but all in all, they're showing why the Vikings are tops in the state.
Yeah. Fun night out here at Veterans Memorial Stadium. I know the score's a little lopsided, but the stands were full. The students were having fun tonight. Good environment, great atmosphere tonight. Lake Stevens, your winner tonight of the King 5 Big Game of the Week, 49-14. Special thanks again to Phillips Law Firm, unleashing justice for you. Make sure to watch King 5 Sports tonight at 10 and 11 for a post-game wrap of the King 5 Big Game of the Week. Sean Wally, thank you, my friend. We'll see you tomorrow at T-Mobile Park for a little Mariners action. The American League Division Series gets underway on Saturday. Sounders, Timbers tomorrow night, and Seahawks on Sunday. It's going to be a fun week, going to be a busy week, hopefully a busy month here in Seattle.
Chris Egan, thanks so much for having me. It was a blast. Love your coverage of high school sports. And, yeah, if sports are your thing, this is your weekend. This is the time. October in Seattle, Seahawks, Mariners, high school sports. We got it all.
All right. Thank you, Sean. Thanks, everybody, for listening tonight. Thank you for the entire King 5 crew. It has been a pleasure. Olivia back in the base. That's a wrap. Let's send it back to you. That's the King 5 Big Game of the Week.
The Big Game is sponsored by Phillips Law Firm, unleashing justice for you.